Tonight on Here and Now, as displaced people continue tenting in a St. John's park, an advocate is pitching a more permanent option.
It's one of the tools that we can use to help solve the housing crisis.
Replacing tents with a durable structure. Meet the man fundraising to make that happen. No more post-game handshakes in the new year for young hockey players. Why Hockey NL thinks it will curb bad behavior.
We've got 150 hampers that you see here in the background, and pretty well everything is in there that you need to have a good dinner.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis in for Carolyn Stokes. Our top story tonight, a housing advocate in St. John's hopes to raise tens of thousands of dollars to create more stable structures for those sleeping in tents this winter. As Here and Now's Janelle Kelly reports, he says it's a cost-efficient way to provide homeless people with some safety and dignity.
It's only been a few days, but Mark Wilson's fundraiser has already raised thousands for what he calls the province's first temporary shelter model unit. There's still a long way to go. Wilson hopes to hit $22,000. He says these little structures could provide an alternate solution for those sleeping outside in tents.
It's 8 by 13 feet, and it's got a bed, it's got a desk, it hooks up to the power, it keeps people warm. We really want to bring one down in order to show it off to the folks here in the province. This is new technology for us, and it's one of the tools that we can use to help solve the housing crisis. It's a very substantial unit. It's pretty much indestructible. It's insulated. These are in places like Peterborough, Ontario, so there's 50 units there. They provide like a bedroom, basically, that's safe. You get a key, or you can use the keypad to get in. So it gives folks that are unhoused that opportunity to have autonomy, and it gives them the opportunity to feel safe in their own space.
Wilson plans to start with just one. Bring a unit to this province to first engage people in conversations that could lead to short-term, homegrown solutions.
This is a demonstration to show what the best solution is in other places.
In parts of Ontario, rather than a traditional shelter, large communities of these units have been created, similar to a rooming house without the house. Sometimes, he says, there's a communal kitchen and a bathroom facility nearby. He's not sure yet where the structure would be set up.
What we can do is we can leverage this concept and this technology and bring it to the people of Newfoundland who truly care, and we can have a lot more happen from that. We can find a better solution, especially at Christmas time.
Wilson's traveling to Ontario for the holidays. While there, he plans to visit the factory where the shelters are built, take a tour, before going to visit some of the communities where the units are already in use, to see how they're working firsthand. Janelle Kelly, CBC News, St. John's.
In other news, a local nonprofit is disappointed that there's yet another delay in the province's plan to build a new prison. The John Howard Society provides counseling and other services to former offenders. Government has spent more than $4 million since 2007 on plans to replace HMP. Yesterday, it announced it's back to the drawing board to come up with a cheaper alternative.
The folks who are coming out are obviously going to be living in our communities, and we want them to be better. We need them to be better than when they were incarcerated. But that's a lot of money. When I think about it from a community perspective and what you're able to do with that kind of dollars, I mean, that's huge. It's absolutely huge. But again, we just have to, hold government feet to the fire, try to keep them on a timeline, try to move this forward as we've always done, and recognize the importance of this work.
We're not done with this conversation. Murphy says she is disappointed with the delay, but that there's plenty to do in the meantime. More on what the John Howard Society is looking for, that's coming up in 30 minutes on Here and Now. Moving on now, the cyber attack that paralyzed the provincial healthcare system in the fall of 2021 is now before the courts. That's after 2 lawyers filed a proposed class action lawsuit against the provincial government and NL Health Services. A report by the Privacy Commissioner released in May found that security issues had been well known and ignored before the attack. It's estimated the attack impacted more than 100,000 people. St. John's lawyer Bob Buckingham said his firm has been contacted by several of those and is also seeking damages.
People have been terrified about this. People have heard about breaches of privacy in the past, but in this particular case, personal private medical information has been stolen. We know it's been stolen, not just accessed by an employee or a staff person or something like that, or inappropriately accessed by someone, but it's been stolen by nefarious people, and they're wondering what's going to happen to it, worried about what's going to happen to it, how it can be used, how it can create new personalities and new individuals and things like that.
During the cyber attack, thieves stole personal and medical information as well as employee data from thousands of people. According to the Provincial Privacy Commissioner, it was the largest hack of its kind in the province and one of the largest in Canada to date. Both NL Health Services and the Health Department declined to comment as the matter is before the courts. Most municipal taxpayers throughout the province are bracing for a beefier tax bill next year, and that's due to a rise in the value of many properties. But residents of Wabana on Bell Island, they're going to get a big break. During the recent 2024 budget presentation, Council announced that it had dropped the residential mill rate from 9.25 to 7.5. That means even though the average assessed home value is up by 10%, homeowners can expect to pay anywhere from $75 to $500 less next year. The minimum property tax fee is also down by $45.
Taxpayers are very happy. It provides some relief, but also when you can cut your mill rate and your minimum tax without impacting services, that's how you win. You know, I'm very proud of this budget. I think it's a budget that supports the people.
So how is Wabana able to cut taxes while most municipalities are charging more? Council has eliminated 2 jobs, and it's closely scrutinizing every expense from overtime to fuel costs. Next year's budget is $2.5 million. That's $90,000 less than this year's financial blueprint. Well, the wintry weather on the Northern Peninsula has brought a cleanup to a halt. The Coast Guard is overseeing an operation in Port-au-Choix to clean up a sunken fishing vessel. The Coast Guard and officials locally are working to clean up leaked fuel and get the boat out of the water. The vessel, Bowes Venture, caught fire and sank earlier this week. Divers have gone down to plug vents and contain a mixture of pollutants, including diesel. The Coast Guard says the goal is to bring the boat up, but weather has made that a challenge.
Unfortunately, we live in a province where we get quite a bit of adverse weather. We're in the winter months and we do get this type of weather, and we sort of have no choice but to deal with it. If this was in the summer months, we'd likely be able to push through and get it done. So it's just the nature of the beast in Newfoundland. You get your good days and you get your bad days.
It was a destructive day in Bay St. George South. Residents of Loch Leven are still waiting for the water to slow down. The surging Highlands River caused a washout near Route 405. They're going to have to wait for it to recede before they can repair that. And then moving to Central, the rail line that runs between Badger and Millertown Junction, another mess with water. Bad news for those with cabins up that way. And no surprise that we've seen some damage. We've been talking about that for the past couple of days with the significant amount of rain out there. Burgeo reported 249 millimeters of rain. No surprise that we've seen some flooding there, lots of water in the basements. Highlands reported 124 millimeters of rain, Corner Brook 108, and Port aux Basques 102. So we've starting to see that rain ease a little bit along the south coast of the island. It is still raining, but not nearly as heavy as it has. And we've got that colder air wrapping around for the northern portions of and the west coast, I should say. Lots of reports of bad driving conditions on the road. Not a good idea to travel if you are planning on it, but we do have that transition through to ice pellets, freezing rain, and then that rain that is working its way further east at the moment. Rainfall warnings still in place along the south coast of the island. They are starting to end though, and will as we head through the night tonight. But the other story is this winter weather. Winter storm warnings in place for a good chunk of the west and some wind warnings. We'll break the full forecast down for you coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Minor hockey players in the province will no longer be permitted to give a post-game handshake, and it has nothing to do with preventing players from spreading the cold or flu. Hockey NL has banned post-game handshakes. This is according to a memo that was distributed to minor hockey associations and leagues yesterday. The chair of Hockey NL writes, quote, "We've had some issues with handshakes following games that have led to suspensions for players and coaches. Players will instead greet one another before the game begins. Home teams will stay at their bench. Opposing teams will skate by for a glove tap or a handshake." A hockey mom from Torbay says it is the wrong move.
We view the handshake as kind of a really great learning opportunity. Our kids are 7. It's a really great way to teach them that, you know, even though you lose, you're playing the game to have fun. You congratulate the other team on their win, or if you're the winning team, you know, you congratulate the other team on a game well played. So removing the post-game handshake is not going to deter the bad behavior from the players that are showing and exhibiting the bad behavior. It's just going to remove it from that post-game handshake lineup and move it to the locker room or outside of the rink at other times.
According to Hockey NL, the new practice of not shaking after a game will come into effect in the new year. The Gander Area Food Bank saw a 30% increase in costs and clients this year. Many food banks from across the province are filling hampers with food supplies for the holidays, and that takes a lot of coordination. We dropped by the Gander Distribution Centre to see the team at work.
My name is Winston House. I am one of the co-chairs. There's 2 of us here in Gander that volunteer at the Gander Area Food Bank. And our food bank is an area food bank, so we look after Benton, Glenwood, Glovertown. So basically it encompasses a big area, Appleton too. Well, the Salvation Army is the other food bank, and we kind of serve the same people, but it's a little bit different. Their demographic is a little bit different than ours. We're mostly concentrated on the close area where they're. Salvation Army obviously have been around for hundreds of years, so they look after a lot more. This starts pretty well 6 months prior, so we gear up and try to figure out what we need. And this year we kind of underestimated the need. Not that, you know, we know there was going to be a bigger need, but as we ran out of a few things, and we will run to the store and pick those things up. So we got 150 hampers that you see here in the background, and pretty well everything is in there that you need to have a good dinner. We calculated probably our increase in cost is probably around 30%, plus a 30% increase in the number of clients that's looking for food at hampers. So yeah, it's a big undertaking, but I tell you, our community comes together. A core group of people, I'd say probably around 6 people that does the ordering and make sure that everything is there. They look after the volunteers, set up the timings. And then we all come in, and Art, the guy is I call him the general. He sits there and says, okay, now we're putting in craft dinner. Everybody was in a craft dinner. Now we're going on to a vegetable or cranberry sauce or whatever. So it's a well-oiled machine. But the community's been great. I mean, yeah, Christmas we go the extra mile to get the food out, but we need that all year, 12 months of the year. People are in need. So, like I said, it's day one again on the 8th of January.
Well, this isn't your grandmother's gingerbread. A Ukrainian baker is busy working away in paradise, creating designer treats that look almost too good to eat. As Hearing Now's Jeremy Eaton tells us, she has high hopes for one day opening up a shop of her own.
While Ivana Valek's gingerbread house speaks for itself, the Ukrainian woman says her English isn't ready for broadcast yet. Joined by her husband and 3-year-old daughter, the trio moved to this province about 5 months ago, and she's been keeping herself busy with baking. Her best guess is that more than 3,000 gingerbread-based treats have been baked in this basement apartment in Paradise. Valak's limits in English have not slowed her down. Using social media, she's sold hundreds of these holiday-themed treats. Her stunning creations have been a big hit, but it's this house with fully functional lights that's garnered a lot of attention. And it's still for sale as of today. Valak tells CBC she'll be taking a few days off for Christmas, but there are already orders coming in for late December, when she'll start to move away from the holiday theme. The goal for 2024 is to improve her English and open up an actual shop. Until then, she'll keep working away in the kitchen and selling her treats online. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, Paradise.
A courier in Glovertown got a special delivery of his own this week. That was thanks in part to gifts from his four-legged friends. Scott Jewison always carries dog treats with him for local pets, so a large group of his regular clients decided to surprise him with treats for the coming year. And a big Christmas bonus. Here's his reaction.
And we're getting a little video.
You really know how to humble a guy, don't you? I got to tell you, there's a lot of love in this town.
There is indeed. Oh, we said you knew he was so proud. Yeah.
Wow. See?
So not everybody wanted to give treats. People wanted to give cash as well. For you to use whatever you need, whether you and your wife want to go out to dinner, you want to buy more treats, whatever you need. We collect and sign from all the dogs. Every dog who contributed. And we have, there's $600 there for you. And
don't fall over.
Don't fall down.
How sweet is that? The group put together 50 boxes of dog treats along with $600. One of the organizers, Leslie Shepard, says Scott is a beloved member of the community to all who encounter him, especially the dogs.
He does what he does, and he brings so much joy to everyone. And for our group in particular, our dogs as well. But to find someone who enjoys their job these days is very rare. And he just brings so much joy, not only the packages, but he's always smiling, he's always pleasant. It's just a joy to see him come to your door with a delivery.
In the last 10 years alone, they've raised $130,000 for our program. That's equivalent to $250,000 lunch-size milk cartons.
We head to Mount Pearl to hear why Piper's is prompting customers to donate to the school lunch program.
Well, I know lots of you probably have travel plans for this weekend. There is a little weather window, but for now we've got lots of snow on the way for parts of the province. I'll break it all down for you coming up in a few minutes.
From the On The Go studio, that's Sarah Ansel, associate producer, technician Ken Cave, and producer of On The Go, Francesca Swan. And I am the host of On The Go, Anthony Germain. And
I'm Anthony Germain, the host of the show. Should be about me.
Stink, stank, stunk. Don't let the Grinch get to you. Have a great Christmas. Have a
Get
great
out of
Christmas.
it.
Have a great Christmas.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'll take a look at this video of two kayakers sent by William Russell. This was taken yesterday, and it's not anywhere here on the Avalon Peninsula. In fact, it's in Port Hope Simpson on the southeast coast of Labrador. Not exactly a winter activity, but that recent warm temperature made for a lovely paddle. It certainly did earlier this week, not so much now. We've got that cold air moving in now. As you can see, the temperatures this afternoon down to the minus single digits, much colder in Lab West, but those temperatures are dropping on the west coast as well. St. Anthony topped out at 2 degrees today. We still have that warmer air, though, hanging on in the eastern portion of the province. 9 to 11 degrees today is the daytime highs. Now, if we take a look at what's happening now, though, those temperatures have since dropped. Lots of that cold air wrapping around St. Anthony down to -6, -3 in Corner Brook. And that cold front is sweeping further east slowly, but it is dropping those temperatures down to 3 degrees in Gander. But we're still hanging on to those relatively mild temperatures in the east, around 5 to 7 degrees at the moment. I showed you earlier, but we definitely have been seeing some winter conditions. If we take a look at the road conditions at just from about 10 minutes ago, travel not recommended rather on the northern peninsula. Lots of snow-covered roads and poor visibility being reported for the west coast. As of now, central and eastern areas are seeing either wet or wet pavement, but clear pavement. But that is going to change as we head through the night tonight, as we see this area of low pressure, or at least the cold front, track further east. So zooming in now, just to show you what's going on, we've got that snow, which looks like it's letting up a little bit in some cases, but we will continue to see that snow through the overnight. The purple that you're seeing there is an area of ice pellets that's extending through to the west coast. Out ahead of that, some freezing rain, and then out ahead of that is that rain. Now, we haven't really seen a whole lot of rain in eastern portions of the island, but that is headed in as we head through the night tonight. Some of that heavier rain just offshore, that is going to move north tonight within the next couple of hours and bring some rainfall totals, likely somewhere around 5 to 10, maybe even 15 millimeters of rain. Again, staying on the warm side for the Avalon and most of eastern Newfoundland, between 3 and 6 degrees tonight. But those temperatures are going to continue to drop, albeit slowly, through central. And then up across Labrador, a downright cold night in Lab City down to -28. And then as we head towards the coast of Labrador, you are also seeing some of this winter weather by the way of some wind and some snow through the night tonight. Now, I've put the wind gusts on here as well as the future tracker just to time that out. So it's doing a pretty good job at the moment where we're seeing that mixed precipitation. We'll eventually see that transition through to snow through the overnight period tonight, but it is the winds and the snow that are going to lead to some whiteout conditions, poor visibility through the overnight tonight, anywhere gusting from 70 to as much as 100 kilometers per hour. And then we're going to see that transition as we head to the morning hours, mid-morning, early afternoon for eastern portions of the island. So if you're planning on traveling, you're definitely going to want to postpone that for tomorrow. It is not going to be nice out there on the roads. Anywhere from 80 to 100 kilometer per hour winds with heavy snow, again continuing, which is going to lead to whiteout conditions. Now, eventually, we will see that snow further east, likely through the overnight on the Avalon. It's going to be combined with some blowing snow, with some windy conditions rather, so some blowing snow, but significantly less snow than what we're seeing through central. The good news is things should clear out as we get into Tibbs Eve, and that will be your travel window. Now, as far as the snowfall amounts go, we're still looking at between 30 to 50 plus centimeters of snow for parts of Green Bay, White Bay. and the northern peninsula, a wide swath of between 15 to 30, but that really drops off the further east you go. In fact, at this point, only looking like we'll see about 5 centimeters of snow for the Avalon. Temperatures tomorrow are eventually going to drop through the day in the east, or top out at about 6 degrees early and then drop. But again, those winds will be breezy right across the board, gusting 70 to as much as 100 kilometers per hour, especially along the northeast coast rather. Labrador, other than the southeast, you are looking at a beautiful but cold day. Lab City down to -18. We'll talk about the long range forecast, what your Christmas forecast looks like when I come back.
We are here at Piper's in Mount Pearl, and this year they're asking for donations for the School Lunch Association at the cash register. And we are joined by John Finn, who is with the School Lunch Association, and Elizabeth Strickland with Piper's. So, John, first I want to start with you and say, why is it so important to raise money for the School Lunch Association, especially this time of year?
Well, Heather, as a charitable organization, any donations received are truly appreciated. And this time of year in particular, just this past fall, we've seen our numbers increase dramatically for the need for our program. To give you an idea, we're serving on average about 120,000 students a month. And then once January hits now, we're already anticipating over 143,000 students that will require meals and lunch each day. So it's fine folks like Piper's who give their time and their good corporate citizenship to help our program flourish.
So you've got more mouths to feed now in January and the new year. Tell us a little bit about what the program offers kids in schools.
Well, each day children have a hot, nutritious lunch that comes with your serving of fruits and vegetables as well as milk. And parents, to give an understanding, we operate a pay-what-you-can model, so some families can afford to pay a requested $5 a day, while others may not be able to afford anything at all. And just to give an idea of the amount of funds that Piper's has raised for us over the years, in the last 10 years alone, they've raised $130,000 for our program. That's equivalent to 250,000 lunch-size milk cartons for children. So it's tremendous.
So Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about why Piper's does this every year.
Well, Piper's has been in business now for 41 years, and we are a local company, and one of our business plan mission statements is to serve our community. And what better way to serve the community is to offer nutritious lunches to our primary and elementary students across the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
So I understand that you've changed things a little bit this year. Like, there used to be an ornament, I understand, in previous years, but this year you're just asking for donations. Why the change?
So in the previous years, we've asked customers to purchase a T-shirt or an ornament, and we know this year's times are tough. So we're asking our customers just to come in and simply donate at the cash. You can donate $1 of your 50 cents. It doesn't make a difference what the donation is. It all counts at the end of the day.
And Elizabeth, how does it feel to hear John say almost 250,000 milk-sized cartons for kids in our province?
I couldn't believe it yesterday when we received the email. I was trying to figure it out because we knew it was like 32,000 meals. But then when he put it in equivalent to that many milk, it's amazing. It's amazing. It feels good.
And John, you stretch $1 in your program. For people who do raise money for your program, what does that mean?
Well, it's tremendous. I mean, so for the folks at Piper's, and also not to forget the Port Authority. St. John's Port Authority has been the champion behind this for many years as well. But we just want to come and say thank you. And hopefully it encourages folks as they get out for their holiday shopping to consider us when they're doing so. And then we'll ensure that any funds raised will go back to feeding children.
Tomorrow on Here and Now, we're celebrating the 180th anniversary of St. Andrew's Church with a tour like you've never seen before. From the top of the tallest bell tower in Atlantic Canada to the underground foundations from 1843.
So they really wanted to make a statement that they were bringing Scotland here to St. John's.
See the Kirk in a new light tomorrow on Here and Now.
Hi, this is Labrador Mornings. Heidi Adder coming to you from just outside of Happy Valley Goose Bay, Labrador. Thank you for supporting your local CBC all year long, and we look forward to bringing you more stories from right throughout the big land in the new year. Have an amazing holidays and wishing you all the best.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The John Howard Society helps former offenders with counseling and other services, both in and outside the prison. The group is disappointed with how much money the province has spent planning to build a new one. And while it's back to the drawing board for now, Executive Director Cindy Murphy says the delay in constructing a new prison isn't sitting well with her. Here's her conversation with Ariana Kelland.
Well, clearly we're disappointed. That's an understatement to say the least. I mean, we've been hearing and seeing for a very long time the conditions at our Majesty's Penitentiary, and they're beyond ridiculous. We all know that. So, you know, to find out now there's another delay, it's really disappointing, although somewhat not surprising. You know, we haven't been hearing anything. There's been no talk about the new prison for a long time. And so we kind of figured that somehow it was delayed. And we did hear rumors about the cost being astronomical.
There's a new promise now that construction will begin, I think, in 2025. Is it difficult to, you know, take politicians' words at face value when you have been here so many times before?
It's hard. It is hard. I have to be honest. I have been around John Howard a long time and been, you know, obviously an advocate for prison reform for a long time. So we've been here. There's no question about that. But you have to take government at its word that they're still committed. That's what I'm being told, that they're still committed to, you know, creating and developing a new facility. It's going to look different than the plans that we saw last year. Not sure what that's going to look like. So we'll be really interested in following that up to see what changes are being proposed to reduce the costs, and is there, you know, what kind of corners are being cut, those types of things. But more importantly, while that's disappointing, we need to think about what we're going to do in the interim. They talked about creating more space, I think, for inmates, for accommodation, for services, for programming. I think we need to be talking about other things, alternatives to incarceration whenever possible. We don't hear much about the bail program. With such a huge remand count at a Majesty's Penitentiary and the other institutions, why are we not hearing more about bail? How come more people cannot be safely supervised in the community before they go to court? Because most of these folks are not even sentenced yet, and haven't even had a court date. So how can we better serve that population by diverting some people out of custody? Because there's no way they will, whatever enhancements they're going to do, will be able to really improve the conditions at HMP. We know the rodents, the infrastructure, on and on it goes. All of that can't be solved with some enhancements. So what is the government prepared to do? And that's where we're going to be looking to find out some of the details of this.
What do you think this announcement and news will do to the inmates who are down there now and who try to hold on to hope where they can get it?
Yeah, it's disappointing for them too, you know, they do. I think somehow the message gets transmitted or translated is we're really not that important. You know, we're always kind of the last of the pile of the heap, you know, the bottom of the heap, that, you know, rehabilitation is really not where it's at. That's not the priority, because we haven't been able to do much in the way of rehabilitation at HMP for quite a while. And that's primarily due to the staff shortages that they've been experiencing for months and months. We're beginning to get in more often. You know, John Howard is contracted to provide services and programs down there. So the last couple of weeks we've seen an increase in the amount of access we've had. So we're grateful for that. Just hope it continues. And I think some of that comes from additional staff being added, but we're nowhere near getting back up to full capacity down there. So it's, you know, it's a hard blow, you know, for folks, for families who have loved ones down there, because whatever people do or, you know, involved in the criminal justice system, they are somebody's brother, somebody's son, somebody's, you know, grandson. So there's people who care about them, and to know that they're living in those conditions, it's hard not only for the inmates but for families and loved ones.
I recently put in an access to information request on how much has been spent since, I think it was 2007, on planning for, designing for consulting on a new prison. I think it's somewhere upwards around 4 million, 5 million. When you think of that amount of money, what could be done with that when you think of money spent on plans that have just been shelved?
Yeah. Well, I hope they're not shelved completely. Like I said, we were privy to the earlier design, and we saw a lot of the good stuff that was incorporated into the new plans, and excellent program space and bright and spacious, and far from hotel conditions, but it was more conducive to rehabilitation, and that's what we should be focused on. The folks who are coming out are going to be living in our communities, and we want them to be better. We need them to be better than when they were incarcerated. But that's a lot of money. When I think about it from a community perspective and what you're able to do with that kind of dollars, I mean, that's huge. It's absolutely huge. But again, we just have to, hold government feet to the fire, try to keep them on a timeline, try to move this forward as we've always done. You've got to hold on to hope, and this is what this is about. But it's also, holding people accountable and holding government accountable and see what they're going to do in the coming days. And we'll be all over that early in the new year.
A Dutch man has been sentenced to 6 years in prison in the Netherlands for the online extortion of BC teenager Amanda Todd. Aidan Coben was convicted in BC last year, where he was sentenced to 13 years in prison, but he will serve that time in the Netherlands with his punishment converted in line with Dutch law. 15-year-old Amanda Todd died by suicide in October 2012. That's after posting a video about being harassed and tormented online. Coben's lawyer said he will appeal the decision. CBC News spoke with Amanda Todd's mother after the sentencing. Carol Todd says she'll continue to raise awareness to help keep kids and teens safe online and to educate them about the dangers that exist.
The advocacy continues. This is something that I believe that Amanda wanted, because she was the one that put out her story on the video to start with. And she said to me, "Mom, I put this video out because I want people to know the story. I want people to understand it. And most of all, I want the people who victimized me, traumatized me, to stop, to know that I'm not afraid of them anymore." And so we have to take the power back. We have to give the power to those who are victimized.
Well, they say this is the holliest, jolliest time of the year, and for most of us, that is true. However, there is one individual for who this is definitely not the case, and that is the Grinch. Some people have played him on film and in animation, but we have the real Grinch with us here in the On the Go studio. What brings you to St. John's?
Usually, it's all the people that are naughty seems to be very populated out here.
You've actually done an inventory on who's naughty?
Usually it's the ones with the kids that are always kicking me or pulling on my hair, so it's very easy to pick them out.
Are you having a good time on this side of the overpass? I'm not sure if you took the sled or if Max is with you. What have you been up to?
Well, I was going to take the sleigh. Trust me, I wanted to. But the snow hasn't really come yet, so I've just kind of been cabbing it right around town.
I don't want you to plug any particular taxi company, but I'm assuming that the drivers must ask you interesting questions, share some of this towny gossip with you.
A lot of them keep asking the same questions if I do enjoy onions or it's a hard time shaving. But I mean, who doesn't love onions?
I'm not quite familiar with the Grinch diet. What kind of fiber do you make sure to stay healthy? Because you seem very trim.
Yes, trim just like a tree. So I do like to eat bark or sometimes paper, whatever comes down the garbage chute.
I don't want to come across as a psychiatric expert, but I do want to ask you this one question about you and Christmas. What happened in your childhood to make you dislike Christmas the way you do?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the films. A lot of people have seen it, but I have some abandonment issues. You know, my mother's just kind of put me away on a stalk.
So you were abandoned?
Yes, but I was adopted by two hideous old ladies.
I see. And what happened?
Well, they loved Christmas.
Aha.
And I just hate it. So I had to move out of there when I was like 4.
So I thought in the story that little Cindy Lou, didn't she kind of turn things around for you in a way when you put her to bed and took off with a tree?
She made me have a little glimpse of sadness, and I realized I do have a heart. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit I could change. Only for a little while.
All right, but in terms of the epiphany, I want to ask you a question about cardiac illness. When your heart grows 3 times, the inflammation and the gorging of a heart, does that bring any kind of side effects that are nasty? I know it's always portrayed as a positive thing, but I'm kind of worried that perhaps your circulation could be bad, especially if your heart blows up.
And that is true, and that's why I did visit the cardiology here in town, and they said it was quite abnormal, and I need to get in surgery fast.
So, if you could change one thing about Christmas, when you take a look at this holiday, which means so much to so many people, and has a different meaning for you, what would you change?
I say, in light of how the economy is, I think people have to realize that old family traditions and sitting down and eating and sharing that love is what's important.
Very well put. Do you have a particular, I think, is it roast beast? And I'm never quite sure what the beast actually is. Now, you mentioned the bark and all that. I'm assuming you got to treat yourself at some point, even if you are a Grinch.
Yes, I do. I usually like to have myself some pizza every now and then.
Pizza?
With pineapple, because I know people hate it so much.
It is an abomination, but I'm glad that you share. At least you're consistent. Whatever you're doing this Christmas, Grinch, I hope it's a good one. Whatever good means to you, I really do wish you a happy or a miserable Christmas, whatever it is that turns your Grinchy crank.
Well, I do enjoy sometimes a hug from a little child that enjoys the Grinch. But most of the time, I do hate kids.
Listen, I don't want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, Crappy Christmas, but it's been a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for giving us some of your time. It's a pleasure having you on the radio and on television.
I'm everywhere.
Well, from the Grinch to a much friendlier face. We all know Santa Claus lives in the North Pole, of course. But this year, you might be fooled into thinking he's taken up residence in Nova Scotia, in a specific town, on a specific street. CBC Halifax went to visit.
feels magical when you're driving through and you're starting to see all the Santas and they're all lit up. It brings that kid feeling back.
When you saw all the Santas, did you get a smile on your face? Most people said yes.
So originally, we saw this in Toronto a few years back. There was a street there that did something very similar. In this community, somebody who lives around here decided to pull together in the Colby South group on Facebook and decide to say, hey, we should replicate this and make it part of a charity.
Everybody was like, yes, like immediately, yes, let's do it. People were going to Costco, coming home with carts of them. There's at least 127 so far.
So the sign when you come into our community usually says Colby South, which is a small community in Cole Harbour. But this time of year, we changed the name to Colby North. There's a QR code, and if you were to take a picture of that, you can donate towards Feed Nova Scotia.
Because we're collecting money for the people who are living in tents and for people who are having a hard time with food.
I hope we can get over 10,000. We started with a $500 goal in mind. That was our first goal, and we hit it so fast that we just kept raising it and raising it and raising it. So we're at 6,000, who knows?
The response from the community has been beyond what we ever expected. We thought this would be a pretty cool sight to have some Santas up and, add to the Christmas spirit, but the giving back to Feed Nova Scotia has been absolutely incredible.
It's so special for the kids because this is Christmas spirit. This is getting everyone together. The kids love it. They're all, we got a Santa. Like when we were all getting the Santas, they were all telling each other, we got one too. So yeah, the kids just love it.
Merry Christmas, everyone!
Producer of The Signal, and they never give me green screen time around here, but for the holiday greetings this year, they said, fill your boots. So I've got this little gadget here, and I don't know, I want something kind of Christmassy. No, I'm thinking more cozy, like a fireplace. Okay, now that's way too big. It actually kind of looks like I'm on the naughty list, which is, let me try. Well, I mean, that's not Christmassy at all. I've just, 1 second, just say the Christmas greeting. Yeah, I have 15 seconds, I had to leave. Okay, Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season from myself with The Signal and the whole Signal team. Thank you. And let me just try to.
So Ashley, I think we'll leave the green screen to you from now on.
No, it's probably had the wrong clicker.
There we go. Now we know. So much weather over the next couple of days as we lead up to Christmas. You've got Christmas in your sights there now.
That's right. Yeah, the good news is that things are, after today and then into tomorrow, things are going to improve, which is really nice. Let's take a look at what's going on in the forecast there. We have lots of wintry weather through the overnight period Friday evening and then into Saturday morning. So we're still looking at some snow and blowing snow. That will reach the Avalon by the overnight on Friday. And then as we get into Saturday morning, maybe some lingering flurry activity still all along the northeast coast, but that should clear out as we get into the morning hours on Saturday. And then we'll actually see some sunshine, which will be nice. We may see some flurry activity up across Labrador, the northern portions, and Lab West as well. And then eventually that will spread towards central Labrador as we head into the evening. Taking a look at the temperatures on your Saturday, we're looking at minus single digits up across Labrador for the most part, maybe about minus 10 in Nain. And then across the island, you're looking at your temperatures back down below to where we should be sitting. This is in fact a little bit below where we should be sitting this time of the year. But for your Sunday, for Christmas Eve, I know we're not going to see a whole lot of snow across the Avalon, but what we do see should stick around at least through the first half of Saturday. We may see a few showers in the forecast for your Sunday evening for Christmas Eve. But for the most part, it doesn't look too bad. Temperatures will be hovering near or maybe a degree or two above zero across the island. Labrador, a beautiful day for you. Your temperatures into the minus single digits, starting to moderate in the west, hovering around -4. But again, you're looking at that flurry activity. Long range forecast, not too much in the way of weather for your Christmas day. Lots of sunshine hovering around the 0 degree mark. Tuesday, we may see some showers or flurries with the temperature near +3. And then for central Newfoundland, pretty quiet weather as well. Just a few flurries for Christmas Eve. Monday, Christmas looks beautiful. And Tuesday, we're looking at a high near 3 degrees through the afternoon with our overnight lows dipping into the minus double digits. So it is going to start to cool down. Now for western Newfoundland, more on the gray side, better chance of some flurries and or light snow right through Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday with a temperature near 0 or a degree or 2 above. Now for eastern Labrador, temperatures are going to warm up a bit as we get into Christmas Day with some flurries or light snow moving in late day. That will clear out as we get into Tuesday. And then western Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures dropping as well. Just before we leave you tonight, nice shot of the Munn Botanical Garden there. This is some puffins that are all lit up. What a great photo there. Jim shared this one with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, the best place to do that would be to send them. Email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Well, aren't those puffins so cute and festive to boot?
They certainly are.
Creative as well. Very nice. Love it.
Very cool.
Hey, it looks like we will have a pretty decent forecast for Christmas Eve. Maybe a few flakes magically falling.
Yeah, that's the hope. Let's see if that happens.
Yeah, and it looks like Christmas Day should be good too. That's right. All right, wonderful. Good stuff. All right, well, that is our show for this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. Good night.